Welcome to the It Factor. We're Jimmy and I, exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan, CEO of CDML, a managed service provider in Queens, NY, offering network management, voice over IP, and UCaaS, cybersecurity, compliance, IaaS, cloud solutions, and Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this episode is for you.
Hey everyone, yeah, today we're diving into something that honestly sounds a bit like sci-fi, doesn't it? Quantum resilience.
It really does. But this blog post we're looking at, Building Quantum Resilient Security for DoH and DoF Compliance by Len Kaplan, it makes a really interesting point.
Right. His argument is that if you're already dealing with strict compliance, like say from the Department of Health DoH or the Department of Financial Services DoF, you've actually got a big head start.
A head start on getting ready for quantum computing's impact on security. So the idea is compliance isn't just a headache, it's a strategic advantage.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack that. We'll look at why it's an advantage and give you some, concrete steps you can take.
Okay, let's get into it. First off, this whole quantum threat. Why should a small business, maybe in healthcare or finance, worry about this now? Isn't this like way off in the future?
Well, that's the key thing the blog post tackles. The threat isn't just about when these powerful quantum computers get here. It's about data you have today that needs to stay secret long after they arrive.
Okay, explain that. What's the actual danger?
So the encryption we use for almost everything online, public key stuff like RSA or ECC, it works because it relies on really hard math problems, factoring huge numbers, things like that.
Stuff that current computers, even supercomputers, just can't crack quickly.
Right. But the blog post warns about what it calls cryptographically relevant quantum computers, or CRQCs. These machines, when they're powerful enough, are predicted to solve those specific math problems really easily.
Like, break today's encryption.
Potentially in hours, or maybe even minutes, which is obviously a game changer.
Okay, wow. And this is where that really spooky idea comes in. The blog post talks about harvest now, decrypt later. What does that mean for a small business owner listening?
It's a huge potential problem, especially if you're handling sensitive data under regulations like HIPAA for healthcare, that's DOH, or say New York's 23 NYCRR 500 for finance, that's DOF.
Because the data has to be kept for a long time, right? Medical records, financial transactions?
Exactly. Often 10 years, maybe longer. So bad actors, maybe even nation states, are believed to be collecting massive amounts of encrypted data right now. They just store it.
Hoovering it all up, waiting.
Pretty much, waiting for a CRQC to become available. Once that happens, all that stored data they harvested could suddenly become readable.
So years down the line, a business could face a breach based on data they thought was safe today.
That's the risk. A breach of data encrypted maybe a decade ago. That's why we need to think about it now.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's connect this back to compliance, because that's the core of Mr. Kaplan's argument. If I'm already drowning in HIPAA paperwork, doing risk assessments, DR plans, how is that helping me with quantum stuff?
Well, think about what those compliance rules already make you do. DoH and DoF regulations demand you know where your sensitive data is, right? You need an inventory.
Yeah, you have to track it.
And you have to confirm it's encrypted, both when it's stored, at rest, and when it's moving, in transit. Plus, you need strict controls on who can access it.
Okay. So those processes, like documenting where data lives and who touches it, that's basically the first step for any security migration.
Exactly. If you already have that map for your IPA auditor, you're like 80% of the way there to knowing which systems need upgrading to post-quantum cryptography, or PQC first.
PQC. That's the new quantum-safe encryption.
Right. The stuff that's designed to resist attacks from both classical and quantum computers. So the discipline compliance forces on you, the documentation, the accountability, that continuous improvement mindset, it makes your organization more adaptable.
You've already got the processes in place. The muscle memory, maybe?
That's a good way to put it. You're used to mandated security changes. So compliance isn't just ticking boxes, it's laying the groundwork for PQC.
Okay, so that leads us to this idea of crypto agility. What is that exactly?
Crypto agility is basically your organization's ability to switch over to new cryptographic algorithms like these upcoming PQC standards that NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, is finalizing without everything grinding to a halt.
So it doesn't mean ripping everything out tomorrow?
No, not at all. It's about planning, being ready to switch when the time comes. The real expense comes if you can't switch easily later on. Replacing systems under pressure, that's costly.
So what does the blog post say you need to do to become crypto agile?
It boils down to two main things internally. First, keep really accurate inventories, not just hardware, but all your applications, cloud services, databases, anywhere encryption is used.
Okay, know what you have. What's the second thing?
Second, you need to check if your current systems, and importantly, your vendors, can actually support upgrades to new algorithms in the future.
Right. So for someone maybe struggling just to keep their HIPAA docs up to date, how is this just an extension of what they're already doing, like the article says?
Well, think about your regular risk assessment. You list devices, software that handle sensitive data like EPHI in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
The quantum ready part is just adding a couple more details to that list, like what encryption is it using now? RSA, something else. And crucially, has the vendor committed to a PQC update?
Ah, so you're leveraging the work you already have to do for compliance.
Exactly. If you're documenting it for the auditor anyway, just add those PQC points. It makes it much less of a huge separate project.
That definitely makes it sound more manageable. Okay, let's get really practical then. The blog post lays out 6 steps for regulated businesses. Let's turn that into a kind of checklist.
Sounds good.
Action item 1, perform a crypto inventory. You mentioned this, knowing what uses encryption. What are the tricky parts here? Where do businesses usually miss things?
Cloud services are often a big blind spot. People focus on the server in the closet or the firewall, but forget about things like Microsoft 365, or maybe their email archiving in Azure, or specialized third-party platforms like medical billing systems.
Anything that touches your data.
Right. If you send sensitive data there, it needs to be on your inventory, and you need to know how it's encrypted, not just if.
Okay. That leads into action item 2, map data lifespans. Why is knowing how long you need to keep data so important for PQC?
Well, because you probably don't need to protect everything with PQC right away. Your everyday emails might not need 20 years of quantum-proof security, but financial records, patient files, anything the regulations say you need to keep for, say, 10 years or more.
That's the priority data.
Exactly. That's the stuff you need to plan PQC transition for first. It lets you focus your resources where the long-term risk is highest. It's basically applying that risk-based approach from compliance to the quantum threat.
Makes sense. Okay, action item 3, ask vendors about PQC readiness. This sounds key, especially for smaller businesses relying on specific software. How do you ask that effectively?
You need to be specific.
Yeah.
The blog post mentions big players like Microsoft, Dell, SonicWall are already working on this. But if you use a smaller vendor, ask them point blank, do you have a roadmap for PQC? And will your future updates support the NIST PQC standards? What's the timeline? If they kind of, or say they haven't thought about it, well, that's a red flag for your vendor risk assessment.
Their security affects your compliance.
Absolutely. Okay, action item 4 is about internal stuff. Update policies and WSPs. First, what's a WISE-P?
Good question.
WISE-P stands for Written Information Security Program. It's basically your master document for data security rules and procedures.
Got it. So what needs updating?
You need to formally add crypto agility into that WS. State that your organization commits to transitioning to PQC standards when they're ready. And, importantly, that PQC readiness will be a factor when choosing new vendors or systems.
So it shows auditors you're thinking ahead. Proactive governance.
Right. It demonstrates foresight.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Action item 5, reevaluate backup and archival strategies. Lots of old, sensitive data sits in archives. What's the quantum risk there?
The risk is that data becomes exposed later. If you archive data today using current encryption and keep it for 10, 15 years, when CLQCs arrive, that archive could be wide open.
So you need a way to resecure it.
Yeah, the blog post stresses making sure your long-term storage can handle re-encryption down the road. You might need a plan years from now to decrypt old archives and re-encrypt them with PQC algorithms. If your backup provider can't support that, you need to look at other options.
Okay, that's a big one. And the last step, action item 6, train staff and leadership. Why is this important for everyone, not just the IT folks?
Because switching to PQC isn't just a simple software patch. It potentially involves changing protocols across many systems. If your staff and management don't understand why it's happening, you could face resistance. People might delay updates or try to bypass new security steps.
So awareness is key for compliance itself.
Exactly. It helps everyone understand the long-term risks, especially with that sensitive long-life data. It makes the whole effort more likely to succeed.
That's a really solid roadmap, and it ties neatly back into existing compliance work. So the blog post finishes by talking about reputation. How does getting ready for PQC now actually help a small business in the market?
Well, especially in healthcare and finance, it's a powerful signal. It shows you're mature, transparent, and thinking ahead. Clients, partners, even auditors see that commitment to quantum readiness as proof you're trustworthy.
So it's more than just avoiding a future fine or breach. It builds trust.
Definitely. It strengthens your reputation. It shows you don't just do the minimum, you're actively protecting their data for the long haul.
So by doing this work now, auditing encryption, mapping data, planning for agility, you stay compliant and, as Mr. Kaplan puts it, you lead the way into a secure digital future. It really reframes compliance work.
That's the key takeaway. Regulators, as the post says, expect continuous improvement, not static compliance. So think about your most critical data, the stuff you need to protect for decades. Are your systems truly set up not just to pass today's audit, but to adapt when encryption itself changes?
That's the crucial question. Are you built for compliance today or resilience tomorrow?
That's the quantum resilient mindset, and now is the time to start building it.
Great stuff. Really practical advice drawn from that article. If you found this deep dive useful, please do hit that thumbs up button. We really appreciate it, and it helps us share this knowledge.
Until next time.
Till next time.